Want to learn how to grow your Instagram organically without using any paid service and buying followers? Check this out. Boom, boom, boom. All right, there's my intro. Episode 3, Coffee with Marcin. How are you guys? There is no coffee once again because we are 9 hours ahead in Europe and it's the late afternoon. There's going to be no coffee for the next probably couple days. But in this episode, I wanted to talk about Instagram and how to organically grow your Instagram for your personal brand, for your business, and things like that. So back in January, I never really built up my Instagram. I never really cared about it. It just wasn't a reason for me to do it. And I had about 1,000 followers. And then in January, end of January, I was like, oh, you know what? I need to really step up my game because I was planning on obviously building out this personal brand later this year, and I said I wanted to get it to 10,000 by the summer. That was my goal. On my birthday, June 6th, so 5 months, my goal was to basically get 9,000 real followers, not, buying bots, or doing all the other techniques that people are doing just to grow their followers, follow, unfollow, all of that things. So the way I did it was I kind of did it in 3 steps. So number 1 was I started following people that I actually look up to, people that I like, people that I follow, people that are in the industry. So I started following a lot of people around obviously entrepreneurship, podcasting, marketing, and I picked like my top 10 people. And every single day in the morning, what I would do is I would get up and I would go to their followers and I would follow, let's say 100 of their followers. And I did this systematically. So I did this every single day. It takes, 5 minutes. So you go in there and you follow 100 of their people, right? And then you get to see how many of those people actually follow you back. So that's like the very basic thing is you have to follow people that are, in your demographic. So if you're a restaurant, then you want to follow local restaurants. If you're music, you want to follow artists that are ideally trying to get the same type of person that you're trying to get. So I went after entrepreneurs, I went after small business, online marketing, all that kind of stuff. So I did that every single day, and I did that for the first month. And then what I did is I looked at which group from those 10 of my top 10 was the best one. And it turned out to be one guy that I followed, right? And his name is actually Pat Flynn. So a lot of you probably know Pat Flynn. He's an amazing entrepreneur. He has a very successful podcast, stores, all kinds of stuff. I think he just released a product actually and a book. So if you haven't followed him, check out Pat Flynn. Really, really amazing guy. So he was the one that I basically targeted, and I just started every single day following all of his followers. And one extra tip when you're following the followers, make sure you follow people that actually have stories. So you see the little circle around their name or their picture, and if it's actually lit, it means they have active stories. So you actually know they're real people versus bots. So that's just one extra little tip. So you just go through the list and you just follow. You can follow up to like 300, 400, 500 a day. And over time, what will happen is obviously you're gonna follow people that don't follow you back. So once a week, what I did is I went and audited my account, and I just went to one of those free softwares, and then you basically can type in, see who's following you back. And then you could then see who's not following you back, and then you just unfollow those people. So it's kind of a manual, tedious process. But what ends up happening is, you end up getting real people because they obviously see that you follow them. They go to your account, they look at your content, which is the next part of this. This is part 2. And then they start following you back, right? And then you start building a relationship. So that's kind of the process. Back in the day, there used to be software that did all this for you. It was called Follow, Unfollow. And it's like, it's obviously a very fast way to start slowly growing your page. But that's only one part. So part 2 is definitely content. So you need to create original content. You need to share relative content to your industry. So what I started doing is I picked 4 industries. It was tech, entrepreneurship, funny, and then like a random miscellaneous one. So it was like science, space, whatever the things I was interested in at that time. So whenever I was scrolling through Instagram, and again, I spent 10, 15 minutes a day just going through my feed, finding stories that I found interesting that, I thought my audience would find interesting. And then I would basically start sharing that content on my feed and in my stories. So there is a software called Repost. and you basically can repost other people's stuff. Couple things to note: make sure you give them credit. Make sure you don't copy their text verbatim. Like, actually write up your own text. So if you're sharing a viral video of some guy doing some crazy thing, you want to obviously give credit to the creator, give credit to the person whose page you're taking it from and sharing. By doing that, obviously you're playing the game correctly. There's a lot of people that just steal other people's stuff and share it as if it's theirs, and definitely don't do that. I don't recommend it. I never do that. I always give them credit and make sure that they know that it's there. And it has happened a few times where somebody came back and said, hey man, this is my piece of content and you can't share this. So instantly I said, hey, my apologies, I just wanted to throw your stuff out there, artist, and then I removed it. So that's part 2. So it's creating that content and mix it up, mix up the stories, mix up images and videos, different things. And again, you have to pay attention to all of this day by day, week by week, and see what's actually working, because things that you might like, your audience might not respond well to. So if you're posting stuff and you're getting 20, 30, 50 likes, probably not good content for your audience. But then you start realizing you're posting this type of content and it's getting 4, 5, 600, 1,000, 2,000 views and a couple hundred likes, then you know that the algorithm is obviously doing the work, right? So it's not about vanity metrics like, oh, I got 200 likes. It's nothing to do with that. I mean, unless you want those metrics. I personally didn't care about that. I actually wanted people that are interested in what I'm interested in, and we can basically start a community, which is part 3 of this. So create content, make sure it's content that your audience that you're trying to build wants and responds well to. Test what that content is. And then part 3 of this is networking. So part 3 of this is the one that takes the most time, but it is definitely the best strategy to grow your page organically, is by actually reaching out to these people, right? So, the beautiful thing about Instagram, Twitter, all of these platforms is you can actually contact people and be human and talk to them. So you could reach out to some top bloggers or fashion designers or chefs, whatever industry you're in, and just talk to them. Say, hey man, I just wanted to say what's up, just wanted to network, and people are actually very nice, most. Obviously some are gonna ignore you, but it doesn't matter. So for me, that's like a 50-50 rule. It's like 50% of the time they're not going to respond, and then the other 50 you're actually going to start a conversation. And then it's all about how you network. So if you're looking to work with them, maybe you're looking to share their content, maybe you're just looking to learn from them. I mean, there's so many different methods of networking when it comes to the platform. So whatever fits your need, that's what you want to do. But couple tips: be genuine. Don't get in there and be like, hey man, can you follow me, or whatever you're doing, or pushing them product or selling shit to them. It doesn't work that way. You have to actually just imagine you're sitting with them. Don't ever think that, since they're behind a phone, you stop being a human being, right? You still want to be a human being, even though we're talking digitally through the phone. Start up a conversation, look at their feed, see what kind of stuff they're doing, let them know you like the content, maybe read some of their blog posts, actually invest a little time into networking. Don't just blast people and then send them automatic messages. That shit doesn't work. Those days are far over. Plus you're never gonna be, looked upon as anybody they want to engage with anyways, because you're just spamming them with a bunch of crap. So they definitely don't. I mean, I personally don't like that, and I know I've stopped doing that. Back in the day, years and years ago, when social media was first starting, that's what everybody did, right? We all just blasted it just to get our numbers up. So I would say that's number 3 is networking. So to kind of rewind, number 1 is doing your following. Find the niche, find the audience, find the people you want to be added to your audience. Start following those people, those leaders in that industry. Number 2 is content. Create content, pick a couple niches that you want to share content that's, again, important to you. The stuff you see on my, Instagram feed, for example, is all stuff that I personally like. Some entrepreneur stuff, motivation stuff, sports stuff, random crazy memes. I just find it funny, so I share it. That's kind of how I roll. Again, all this stuff, take it with a grain of salt. It's what worked for me, and I grew my account from 1,000 to over 10,000 on my birthday, and I hit it. I think it was a day early or a day after. So again, not a huge number, but the point for me was more to validate the process, because now I know that once I got to 10,000, I actually stopped for 2 months. So I stopped from June to August. I didn't do anything for 2 months because I actually wanted to see how much of this audience is actually following me versus doing just this follow unfollow nonsense where people do and they just try to like grow their audience, but then everybody unfollows you, and it's just kind of this yo-yo effect. So I stopped on my birthday and I didn't do any of the thing I just told you about for 2 months, and I never went under 10,000. So the highest I hit was 10,700, and then in 2 months later, without touching it, never doing another follow unfollow, I went down to 10,100, and then it validated for me. I gained 9,000 real followers and only lost about 600. So it's a tiny portion. So I knew I was doing something right. So now I've just started again posting and doing exactly what I'm kind of telling you here. And I'm gonna get my account to 20,000, hopefully 100,000. So those are the 3 things that I did to grow my account from 1,000 to 10,000. And if you're interested, hit me below. Let me know if you have any questions, comments. There's a ton of software out there, but a lot of them are all disappearing. Instagram is really cracking down on the whole follow unfollow. So that's the process. That's the manual process. It takes a little time, but you're gonna actually get to know your audience. You're gonna interact with people. And one other thing, when people leave comments, when people like your stuff, like their stuff, leave comments on their stuff. Like, again, networking, human touch. Keep it old school. Don't automate. Don't try to automate it. Actually, just put in the time to do it. And if I wanted to, I'm sure if I would have spent, I spent every day, I would say total 30 minutes. So 30 minutes a day for about 4 months, I spent doing this, right? Imagine I spent 2 hours or 3 hours, right? I could have probably been at 100,000. But to me, that wasn't what I wanted, to get to a crazy number. I just wanted to validate that it worked. And now I'm actually doing my, stuff slowly, 10, 15, 20 minutes a day to build it back up. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you guys for all the comments. Thank you for all the love. And I've been having fun doing these. And we're in Greece for a wedding. And then I will be back in LA and back on the grind. So episode 3. Love you guys. Cheers. Bye.